If you hear anyone, like, stirring around in the background, that's Roscoe. I'm recording this episode from bed, a bed which I share with Roscoe, so we're gonna have to deal with that if that becomes an issue. But for this episode, I just wanted to talk through the 6 days I spent in DC this summer. So a couple weeks ago, I think I mentioned this, I went to DC for about a week before going to New York and before I went to Vermont, but in college in DC. And I went abroad last semester, so I moved out of my DC apartment in December, put all my shit in storage, and I haven't really been back. I haven't really seen a lot of my friends since then. I haven't seen a lot of people who maybe I used to be friends with, but I'm not as close with anymore. A lot of things have changed, and I was away from DC for it's gonna be like 10 months, I think, by the time I move back in again. And I'm sure that math can't be right, but I'm gonna go with it because it sounds the most dramatic. During this trip to DC a couple weeks ago, um, there were a lot of things that came up that I thought would be good to talk about in a little podcast episode. The first thing I wanna talk about is how much anxiety it gave me being someone else's guest for like a week. So I stayed with one of my friends who I've known for like over a year now. I stayed at her apartment for a week, and it was actually an apartment she was like subletting. So it was like she already felt like a guest there, I think. And I just learned that I am much more the host friend. When I was staying with her for 6 days, I constantly felt like I was overstaying my welcome, or if we were out at night, I was just like, "Ugh, I wish I could just go curl up in my own bed," or I wish I had my own space to invite all of these people we're hanging out with back to, or I just felt really off balance, I guess, and without, like, a real home base. I think I just learned a lot about myself and how much my space means to me. And I mean, I've always been somewhat of a homebody. And yeah, all growing up and all through high school, my house was kind of the one where all of my friends congregated, all of my brother's friends congregated. But I don't think I ever really realized like how much I enjoy being the host friend or would rather have people over than go over to someone else's house. So that was something to learn. But I think I also learned on this trip how valuable it can be to open up to your friends and, like, the people around you when you're feeling off, because if you're feeling anxious or upset, it can feel very isolating and, like, you can't really share that with anyone. But I remember one night, it was actually during the daytime, I was feeling so uncomfortable, like, being someone's guest, and I just felt like I was overstaying my welcome, and I was thinking, "I'm just gonna pack up all of my stuff in my car and go stay with a different friend or go stay with my boyfriend so that I can get out of her hair." And when I told her this, she was like, "Oh my god, thank God you didn't do that. I would have gone home and seen that you had left and taken all of your stuff and thought you totally hated me and didn't wanna be my friend anymore." And I was just creating this narrative in my head that she was so sick of me staying with her and I was such a burden. But really, when I was able to, like, be vulnerable and talk to her about it, she was like, "What are you talking about? That would've, like, set me, like, off the edge." And so I really learned, like, first of all, sometimes when you're anxious, it's because you're making problems in your own mind, and also communication with friendship, and I mean, obviously in everything, is very important, and you can probably solve a lot of problems and prevent a lot of hurt if you just communicate with people how you're feeling. Another thing I was thinking a lot about is going out because obviously, or maybe not so obviously, I'm not from like a big going out town. I mean, the little town in Spartanburg, oh, fuck. The little town in South Carolina I'm from does not have a vivacious nightlife scene like DC does. And normally I'm not really someone who likes to go out. I don't really. So going out normally isn't my thing. But I actually went out a lot during the week I was in DC. It was also the 4th of July and it's summertime, so, you know, the kids are going crazy. They're going wild. And these are some things I learned or was thinking about. Going out with the right people makes a world of difference. If you're with people that you feel safe and comfortable with, and like you can be yourself, and like there's no passive aggression or tension or expectations, you just want to go out and dance with your friends and have fun and be dumb, you will have so much more fun than if you just care about what the moves are and who's going out with who and who's wearing what, like blah, 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 blah. All of that stuff is so dumb and is hashtag not fun. You heard it here first. You have to go out with the right people. You have to go out with the people who are willing to make a fool of themselves dancing with you and being silly and don't care about who's watching or the opinions of what frat boy is there. And I don't know. No, I'm sure everyone in college can relate to that. I also learned that no one really cares what you're wearing. I've heard, at least in college, a lot of conversation about not wanting to look like you're trying too hard or not wanting to look at like you put in a certain amount of effort for a certain amount of events. Like, oh, I can't believe you curled your hair to go to that whatever function and blah blah blah. We're just going to a bar for a beer. Why are you wearing makeup? Like, are you fucking kidding me? No one cares. If you want to go out and I don't know, braid your hair into a Ferris wheel or or wear your prom dress. Like no one cares and you should do that and you should have friends who would encourage you to wear what you want to and wear what you feel confident in and hype you up, not people who cut you down and say, "Oh my god, I can't believe you curled your hair for it's Thursday, blah blah blah." No one fucking cares. If you want to curl your fucking hair. I also learned I think after COVID, I cared a lot about how people perceived me or not even necessarily cared, but I was so tripped out by the idea that I was around so many more people and that they have perceptions of me, they can perceive me. And it really like tripped me up for 6 months or something like that. I just was really uptight and like reserved, and I'm not really a I don't know, I consider myself pretty outgoing. But I learned when you stop caring about how other people are perceiving you and just focus on your own perception and do you like certain people and are you having fun rather than do they like me? Like, does everyone you you're going to have so much more fun if you focus on yourself, not in a narcissistic way, but just, put yourself first. And you're going to be a lot more fun to be around and people are actually going to like you more when you stop trying to get people to like you. Cuz people are going to like you when you're acting like yourself and having fun and being goofy and just, being true to yourself. People aren't going to like you if you're just so worried and don't want to say the wrong thing and don't like if you just relax and do what comes naturally to you, then you will have a lot more fun and you'll attract the right people that you should be hanging out with. But overall, one of the things I learned is yeah, it can be awkward returning to college or returning somewhere you've been away from for a long time, but you'll get through it and it's only going to be awkward for like maybe one day. And then everything really goes back to normal and it's fine. But that's all I have for this episode. Thank you guys for listening and tune in whenever I upload again. Bye.